This video, it's going to be different.
It's not important that I was depressed or that I did some shitty things to myself. It's important to think about why I did those things. And if you can go to this place, if you can really see the why did I do this? Then you begin walking the road to clarity that will strengthen you as an artist in a way that nothing else in the world can.
Hi there. Thank you very much for playing The Beginner's Guide. My name is Davey Reedon. I wrote The Stanley Parable, and while that game tells a pretty absurd story, today I'm going to tell you about a series of events that happened between 2008 and 2011.
The Beginner's Guide is a self-fiction about the relationship between the game's author and narrator, Davey Reedon, and Coda, a game developer turned friend who shared his creations with Davey throughout the years. What is hard to treat about this game is the frontier between what is real and what isn't. In all appearances, this could all be true. The fictitious aspect of this story isn't official per se, even though everything points to it. Some people have debated the existence of Coda. Some would also argue that his realness is not exactly a binary notion.
That it made him feel physically ill.
For the sake of this video, we will therefore have to treat Davey Reedon both as this game's creator, but also as a character. In that sense, I will refer to the narrator as Davey throughout this essay, and will reserve the name Reedon for the real-life game developer. The Beginner's Guide is an exploration of Coda's work guided by Davey, so these are games within a game. And these levels are what we would stereotypically qualify as artistic. They are metaphors and allegories. They can be opaque and sometimes unplayable. And most importantly for the theme of the game, they were never released. Coda only shared them with Davey.
In 2011, that was it. He made his last game and then he hasn't made another one since. And that's why I've taken this opportunity to gather all of his work together, is because I find his games powerful and interesting, and I'd like this collection to reach him, to maybe encourage him to start creating again.
That's the premise Reedon sets up. This story of Davey seeking to express what he felt through Coda's games, but in a more profound sense, seeking to share how he understands Coda through his work.
This is what I like about all of Coda's games. I mean, not that they're all fascinating as games, but that they are all going to give us access to their creator. I want us to see past the games themselves. I want to get to know who this human being really is. And that's exactly what we're going to do here.
The first game presented is Escape from Whisper. You start the level, gun in hand, in what appears to be a sci-fi setting. Maybe a ship or a space station. Seems generic. You enjoy yourself just shooting your weapon and running around. It's odd. There's no enemy. Once you run out of bullets, you can't reload. Davey wonders if it's all intentional, if what seems incomplete is in fact intended. You get to a labyrinth. The narrator tells us that he just doesn't get why there's one. He teleports you at the end. This is the first instance of a dynamic Davey entertains with these levels. He'll make them more playable. There's already a certain level of hypocrisy, even though he says,
maybe Coda thought that actually it was complete the way that it is. And I think that we should talk about his games for what they are, rather than for what they're not.
He'll still meddle with the levels again and again. You get to the end, a voiceover tells you that there's only one way to save everybody. It's to step into the Whisper machine. You'll die to save everyone else. You go in there and this happens.
Let me pause here for a second. What you just experienced, stepping into the beam and then dying, is probably what Coda had initially intended when he was developing this level. But when he first compiles and plays it, something goes wrong. There's a bug somewhere. And this is what happens instead. The beam causes you to start floating. And this is an important moment for him. Because yes, this is technically a glitch, but Coda identifies something human about it, like how small it makes you feel in the face of this larger chaotic system. Or this floating could be the afterlife, a peaceful place, juxtaposed against all of the hysteria that you've just had to traverse. I don't even know. I have no idea what he was thinking, but what's clear is that after making this, something lodges itself in his brain. He wants to do more of these really weird and experimental designs. So he stops work on this and moves on to a stream of tiny little games that go in all sorts of directions.
This is the blueprint of the game. You enter a level, you play through, and Davey gives you his interpretation. But he doesn't stop there. He intervenes. And with that in mind, in the interest of time, we'll be able to up the pace and get to the meaning of this game. From here on out, this becomes a beautiful succession of levels that reveals more and more the relationship Davey developed with them. You have a level that only lets you walk backwards, one that's a single tile with a panel that says, "You are now entering." A flight of stairs that slows you to a crawl the more you climb it, but that hides a room full of ideas for games. A puzzle that forces you to close a door behind you to be able to move forward, as if you better let the past be the past if you want to live what's ahead. At least that's how Davey sees it. That's how I saw it too. Then you walk through that door, and it's just a room. This should be the end, but Davey intervenes. He reveals what's hidden behind the walls. There's this sprawling world of corridors, almost infinite. I'd say that makes Coda such a compelling character. That Reedon tells us so much about him by the fact that he created these amazing works of art without the need for it to be seen. That's what you wanted us to think, right, Reedon? That we are learning to know Coda? Eventually you end up in a level that goes down and down to a prison. You get behind the bars.
This prison, funny enough, in Coda's original design, the doors stayed shut for a full hour before letting you go. If you don't mind, I think we're gonna skip that.
He intervened. Again. What are we losing in the
interest of time?
Davey explains that this has always been a debate between him and Coda.
This is something that he and I used to argue about a lot. You know, whether a game ought to actually be playable, whether it means anything if no one can get through it. And I would always defend that, you know, all this work goes into the game, why not make it playable and accessible? And so we just got into heated arguments over it, and there was one time that after one of these conversations, he went home, and a day or two later, he sent me a zip file entitled Playable Games that was full of hundreds of individual games, each of which was just an empty box that you walked around in and nothing else. Believe me, I played every single one of those just to find out if there was like a gag hidden somewhere. There wasn't.
At the end of the level, you encounter a lamppost for the first time. Davey remarks that it will become a recurrent motif, that they signify an ending, a destination. As if, suddenly, Coda's art was marked with a clearer intention. The levels are getting more personal. Davey delves deeper and deeper in what he sees in Coda's work, how he sees Coda in his work. A level where he left notes everywhere, written by himself, in a way for himself, like all he does. At its center, an abstract painting, taunting you to find meaning in it. Then a prison, one you can't free yourself from. Not until the last version of the level lets you call yourself from the future. Our past self asks how to escape. There's options on what to say. To get out, all you have to do is to be sincere. I felt something. The first time I was exposed to the beginner's guide, I was a liar. A liar? What did you say?
I can see why he considers this a fitting conclusion to the prison games. After all of the obsession and frustration, just to be told by someone you can trust that things are going to be okay. Wouldn't that be nice?
House is a very peaceful game. You speak with the inhabitant who asks you to help clean around. You wash dishes, make the bed, rearrange the bookcase. There's this cute moment where the owner vulnerably asks you if they can say something cheesy. One's house is a lot like one's soul. You take care of it, and it takes care of you. All of this is a breath of fresh air. Music is calming, reassuring even.
I know that Coda really liked this game. Of all of his work, actually, this was the only one that he called me up to ask me to come over and look at it. This was during a period of a few months where he was like grossly happy all the time, just walked around with a constant smile on his face.
It exudes an aura of fulfillment, just being content. And it would go on, but Davy stops it and lets you continue towards the door. He wants you to advance, as if happiness found in stillness should be treated as a trap. He wants movement, without a clear destination. Then there's a level about the teacher that preaches with confidence but who is in fact as lost and terrified as his students. The idea of sincerity towards others, but most importantly, towards yourself, becomes central to almost every level. This distance we all create between the real self and what we project. Theater puts you in front of a hero of yours. How do you act? How do you get everything you want from this simple encounter? What do you say? Do you keep it casual? Do you explode in a rain of praises? What does it even mean to be true in this situation? And at what point being truthful becomes just an extension of that performative self you present to everyone else? You walk away from the stage. No more.
The game ends with this eerie premonition of what's going to happen next in Coda's life. The solution to social anxiety, to fears of having to perform and having to chase success, the answer for Coda is to withdraw, to hide himself away. Which is what leads to scenarios like the stairs that slowed you down several games ago, where it just becomes harder and harder to access Coda's inner landscape because he keeps retreating. He just keeps backing away from possible connections to anyone other than himself. And to be honest, I didn't consider it very healthy when I first played this game. You know, it looked to me like he was trying to justify the idea of just disconnecting yourself from the world. And that wasn't what I wanted for him or for his games. Because I feel like a lot of his games are inviting me to connect with this person, to bring him closer. But what can you do? After this, Coda went off and took another 5 months to make a new game.
The stakes are rising. Davy corners more and more Coda as this cursed artist, burdened by a creative mind that the world cannot understand. Because he wants him to be, right? Defining someone by its pain has a certain romantic flair, but when Coda was happy, Davy referred to it as gross. Our narrator becomes less and less a guide and more a painter, imposing the colors of his self into the life of others. Mobius puts you in a time loop where a gigantic door crashes onto your ship. The only way out is to speak the truth. That your work isn't always fun. You can't keep making these. Davy thinks Coda is crashing. Art doesn't sustain him anymore. Playing this game, Davy starts thinking Coda needs help. In Island, you can't see that far. You have a dialogue with an unknown entity. It's about art. How you can't create anymore. You have nothing more to say. The dialogue is an illusion. It doesn't really matter what you say.
Because from my perspective at the time and just what I knew of him, this was a result of how isolated he was. He was in his own little bubble, just sitting at his computer all day, not really showing these games to anyone, not releasing them onto the internet, and so he didn't have anyone outside of himself to connect with. He had no outlet to ground himself on.
As the narration continues, Davy gets angrier. He's pissed at Coda. Why wouldn't he connect, release his work? Because if all you do is create for yourself, well, if that doesn't work, you're just going to crash. A wall of questions stops you. You have to speak about your process. You hear a girl crying in the background. The sound effect, it's in reverse. You should lie. It's always easy. Creation is a beautiful, hopeful thing. Always. Life is pain. Just create. It's a simple solution.
This is someone I really cared about. And I used to get so much joy out of seeing him create. For him to suddenly become angry and frustrated like this, it was the worst thing for me.
It was the worst thing for me? A final lie to yourself. You're perfect. The wall breaks. You walk towards the prison. There's the girl crying. A lamppost. Is that the destination?
And I'm not gonna stand here and pretend that I have an exact answer for you and that if you just do this one thing, then you'll never get depressed, right? But I do think there's one pretty central thing that brought a lot of this pain down on me. A big part of why I was making games in the first place was to be loved in a way that I did not feel I could be loved without my work. I'm thinking to myself, when I put this out, you know, people who already know me, sure, they'll see the work and then they'll see me and then they'll really know me.
Machine is a discussion with your creativity. An old, rusty engine. It hasn't been working. If it won't work, how could you? How can you trust it to carry you? People are waiting outside, they want more. It's the machine's fault, it won't let me create. Is this self-hatred? Or hatred towards those who want more from you? Both? You go back to the theater. The only solution is to destroy everything. The gun is in your hand. You shoot. The bullet spears Coda's work, revealing a white void. Davey is concerned. He thinks Coda is a victim of his loneliness. The only way out would be to share his work, to get feedback. He'd feel seen. That's the right thing to do. You get to what seems to be the bottom of the world. The machine is there, decrepit, contained. You shoot it too.
Can you see why I felt like this was the right thing to do? Because it's the thing that I always feel like I need, to be told that my work is good, that I am good. When someone really connects with a thing that I've made, when they see themselves purely in my work, there's nothing that feels better. And I got to give that very same feeling to my friend. I did something, I really felt like I'd done something good, like I was a good person. I felt like there was a friend who was in trouble and was unhappy and maybe didn't like themselves, and I could fix it. If I could give him this gift, maybe I could fix the problem. When they told me how much they enjoyed his games, it was the best feeling. It was the absolute best feeling. It made me feel so happy. So beautifully, beautifully happy.
I wonder if it's how Reedon saw it. That his creativity died at the hands of the servitude he offered to those who enjoyed his work. That it drowned by the necessity of praise. And that not drowning and breathing are two very different things. I know that you know, Reedon. I'm just like him. That's the whole point, right? That's what you want me to realize. Don't worry, I get the irony of saying that. Coda sends a final game. The tower. It's cold. Davey isn't doing too well. He doesn't recognize Coda in it. It's distant. The music is ominous. There's an invisible maze. Hitting the wall flashes the screen red. An aggravating sound is superposed. It's unnerving. It wouldn't be playable. You shouldn't be able to get through. Davey creates a bridge. You advance. He admits that his interventions were more present than he led you to believe. That many games needed to be modified to be playable. That word again. Playable. Davey struggles. He had been changing the games to make their point clearer. But what's the point of the tower? He can't discern it. A combination blocks your path. 6 figures, no hints, 1 chance in a million. Davey steps in. He tells you. Then an unlockable door. He opens it. The transgressions add up. What else did he change while you played? What's left of Coda's work? All that you felt, was it true? Was it Davey's point or Coda's? What did you miss in the interest of time? Davey's grumbling. He is a failure for not understanding. Why wouldn't Coda tell him? He asked again and again, what does it all mean, these levels, the 3 dots? If Coda wouldn't answer, then what other choice is there than to figure it out through the work itself?
I just felt so strongly that if I could have connected with him, that if I could have somehow made his work my own, that I would finally be once and for all happy. It was that I needed to see myself in someone else. I needed to be someone other than me. But he stopped and left, and it felt somehow like I had failed.
Did he care about Coda? Or did he just see him as holding the cure to his loneliness?
I'm the reason that you stopped making games, aren't I? It's because of what I did. I poisoned it for you.
Koda's isn't Davy's mystery. Davy's Koda's villain. He didn't respect the intention of his creativity, the why of his creation. He used his work as a way to feel special.
I don't think I ever told you this, but when I took your work and I was showing it to people, it actually felt... it felt as though I were responsible for something important and valuable.
He saw Koda as a servant to his quest for meaning. He transgressed his work in a way that is hard to understand for someone that has never created art. Like having plastic surgery on someone else's baby. Would you stop changing my games? Stop adding lampposts to them? The way Davy highlighted the lamppost created a sense of intentionality and artistic clarity. It was just him. It disgusted me.
Physically ill. Physically ill. Physically ill.
Reading, the point of the story is that I'm Davy, right? Don't I do these things? Don't I speak about someone else's work and feel special? Or is there a difference? If I'm Davy, who's Koda?
Like, I'm showing people your work, but I can't stop myself from doing it. That's how badly I need to feel something again, like I'm an addict. There has to be something wrong with me. Can I apologize? What if I tell you I was wrong? Will that work? Will that fix it? I don't know. I don't think it will, but there's nothing else that I can do. Just tell me what you want. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please, start making games again. Please help me. Please give me some of whatever it is that makes you complete. I want whatever that wholeness is that you just summoned out of nothing and you put into your work. You were complete in some way that I never was. And I want to know I want to know how to be a good person. I want to know how not to hate myself. Please. I'm fading, and all I want is to know that I'm going to be okay.
The first time I encountered the beginner's guide, I was unable to sleep in a hospital bed. I was sad and bored out of my mind. So I asked for my phone back, paid for the Wi-Fi, and looked up that other game from the guy who did the Stanley Parable. I just played it, so I thought the next one might be interesting too. Back then I hid everything. I was depressed, always. Didn't want people to pity me, so I kept all the fucked up stuff for myself. Life had been hard. So I was depressed, of course. And then life stopped being hard, and I was still depressed. I lied all the time just so people wouldn't know. I feared I wasn't worthy of love. All you have to do is to be sincere. Of course, that's the antidote to shame. Hiding is part of the pain. That's what you figured out, reading? Art is like calling people from the future. You've been through something and you get to share it. Life happened, and through all the chaos you found this one cohesive angle where everything feels connected. A singular thread that ties together events and feelings and realizations. I'm caring for all that you have to leave untold. An illusion of a perfect thematic catharsis that doesn't need to be held accountable by the absence of meaning of real life. And if you're lucky, it will mean something to someone else. What Reedon did, Beginner's Guide, that day, it meant something to me. It still does. I was an artist too. Performed every week in front of a couple hundred people, making them laugh. Sometimes real life would come out, I would make them cry. Pure, right? But then it happens, you get attention, people look at you.
More love, more praise, more people telling me that I'm good. Always more. It's like a disease.
People put you on a pedestal. They want to believe in this complete being, holder of wisdom, self-actualized, flawed but as a way to be relatable. almost attainable. And it's hard not to believe it about yourself. The grandiose mythology of the broken artist, vessel of a truth that only pain teaches. Even though the truth lies in the mundane alchemy of an art piece that simply makes you feel seen. The small but significant coincidence of a stranger's experience that leads to a string of words and images that expresses your deeper inner thoughts. I think we're all Coda and we're all Davy, the creator and the narrator, the impulse to live and the impulse to be seen. Creation that is filtered by how we hope to be looked at, like a story deformed by an insecure narrator. Is there a way to create without giving them power over us?
Even now, the disease is telling me to stop. Don't show people what a shitty person you are. They'll hate you.
Reedon already told us. The one way out is truth. To be sincere with ourselves about the why. Why do we create? Why do we want to be seen? For connection or adoration? They'll always coexist. You can't escape that. Adoration will always be a temptation. And so, introspection is the only shield from ego.
If I knew that my life depended on finding something to be driven by other than validation, what would that even be? It's strange, but the thought of not being driven by external validation is unthinkable. Like, I actually cannot conceive of what that would be like.
The artist is an illusion, for the audience and for the one who creates. Sometimes I think I should just stop speaking. That attention is the poison I fear it is. I hate that I enjoy it. I hate that it makes me feel special. I fear that I'll get more out of it than I give. That I must be arrogant to feel like I deserve to be listened to, that I'm worth your time. But since I got sick, it feels like art is the only way to live. I'm stuck in this useless body. It terrifies me that I started to want more from art, for it to bring more eyes on me, for it to be enough to fill the void left by this fucking disease, to cure me from loneliness and uselessness. Is that still ego? Or is there value in wanting to bring a bit of beauty into the world? I don't know if it makes me Coda or Davy, but I don't have to understand that now. As long as I'm honest, I think I'm in the right direction. If you get something out of it, I'll feel okay with what I do. Not because of the praises, but because there's beauty in how art helps us go through life. That's what makes me feel connected. That's what I seek from being seen. That's why I create.